Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the new and improved Reckless Speculation. Why do I say we're new and improved? Tom's got some freaking sleeves on this week. I got a beard trim, and Robbie drafted a halfway good team. Between him and Chain right now, they have 3 running backs that's probably going to start. So that's a move in the right direction. So first, let's welcome Live Golf's biggest fan, PGA's Man of the Year, Flight 1 champion, I think, or you'll explain, runner-up, Brandon Chain.
What's going on? Yeah, it was a championship flight. I got second in the net division, so I was in 10th place, I think. So, but first time playing with the big boys, all these plus handicaps. So it's a good challenge for myself, and it was fun.
What's John Daly like?
I have no idea. Probably a big partier. We'd probably love him if we could ever have him on the show. It'd be awesome.
Okay, I'm going to move on. I left that one open for you. I expected more. Up in the corner, the man, the myth, the new NASCAR expert for Reckless Speculation, replacing Robbie Davis in that category. It is Tom Sloan.
Well, what's going on, fellas? Yeah, I wouldn't say expert. I might have gotten a lucky break a couple weeks ago and almost pulled off another one this week, but the late pit kind of caught him. But I was watching the race from the confines of Pine Knob Music Theater as Korn was performing, so I was staying up to date with the race as I was getting my metal rock on. So yeah, I'm slowly but surely getting there. I don't know how good I'll end up being, but I did download the FanDuel app, and I'm going to start dabbling a little bit, I think. So we'll see how that goes.
Oh,
yeah. We're gonna see where that takes us. I don't have high expectations, but hey, it should be fun.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, I save this to last every week because he is the man, the myth, the legend, the inventor of the 0 running back fantasy team, the worst drafter in the Metro Estill Springs region. He is Robbie Davis. How are you today, Robbie?
Hey, I'm doing well. Always good to be on here. We'll get to my draft and how great it was in a little while. But, yeah, I tossed you guys the winner in NASCAR this weekend. It was a great race at Watkins Glen. Get them out of their elements a little bit. Road course. As always, watched the whole thing. A little teammate on teammate crime, but Kyle Larson won. He was 40 plus 450. Hopefully you guys place the bets, and then once Bet Your Nuts comes this evening, I've got some good knowledge for everyone.
Are you going to lay some smack down on us there, Rock?
Oh yeah, just wait till whenever we get to our draft results. I'll explain to people that don't know how brilliant and like Moneyball was one thing, but this no running back system, it blows Moneyball out of the water.
All right, I'm getting posted on our partner sites right now, so I don't want to disturb that. So let me take a minute here and just let's get to the first topic of the night. Now, and I do not know how much you guys know about this guy, how much you saw him play. I actually never saw him play in person. He retired in 1976, but I can remember him playing and being an active player for the Chiefs. We lost another legend today, and I think this is the greatest photo you could post of this gentleman. I think this says everything that was who he is. At Super Bowl I, sitting in the locker room, ladies and gentlemen, the legend, Lynn Dawson, probably having him a Marlboro, getting ready to go back out and play. I'm going to go ahead and tell my story about Lynn Dawson in case not a lot of people know a lot about him. the Chiefs played in the first Super Bowl famously against the Packers. After the game, Lombardi said, I think the Chiefs are a fine football club, but they cannot play with the NFC, being the NFL at the time. As we know, that became kind of the rally cry for the AFC at the time, American Football League. 2 years later, the Jets beats the Colts in a huge upset. The next year, the Chiefs beat the Vikings in a huge upset. Hall of Fame quarterback, a guy who sat on the bench for 5 years in Pittsburgh, guys. You think about it, developed later in his career from the University of Purdue, Lynn Dawson. Tom, you're a resident sports expert. What do you know about Lynn Dawson, and what could you throw out there to enlighten us a little bit?
Well, my only really knowledge of Len Dawson comes from Inside the NFL on HBO. Tuning into that show every week, years ago, probably when I began my football fandom, would have been sometime in the late 80s, early 90s. I just remember having a unique view of the game, being that he played in it, and to me, that's pretty much my only knowledge of him. But I remember looking up to him as far as what he had to bring to that program. So
with Nick Bonaconti for years and years and years.
Yeah.
How about you, Brendan Jane? You have any memories or thoughts of the late Lynn Dawson?
Not too many memories. Didn't watch a whole lot of football at that age back then, but I do remember reading a lot about him, and just kind of the swagger, if you will, that he brought to the team, and that picture that you posted is kind of the epitome of what he was about, just hard-nosed guy, and apparently a good leader. So sad day, but I think he was 86 maybe, or 82. Yeah. So lived a long, good life. I hope I make it to 82.
I'd been in hospice care since last summer or early this summer. Robbie Davis, Lynn Dawson kind of set up what become him and Johnny Unitas are the two guys I think about that grew into modern day quarterbacking. Do you remember anything or reading about him or anything?
Wait, Randall, did you say you remember him playing?
Yes, I was 10 when he retired.
How old are you?
I am ancient and getting older next weekend.
Did he retire in 1975?
76.
Okay, well, I was born in 84, so he was before my time. I have obviously, like Tom, watched NFL films and know the history about him. He won 3 AFL championships, the 1 Super Bowl. Really, helped Lamar Hunt put the Chiefs on the map as far as an NFL franchise. Great leader. But no, I mean, way before my time. But everything I know has been through the NFL films, which is and was instrumental for putting the NFL on the map and where it is today. Good Lord.
If this gives you how old I am, Frank Hill, I think you knew who that is, says, I remember watching the first Super Bowl when I was 10 years old.
Well, there you go. So I can age you around that then, Randall.
Yeah, around that. Rod, the guy's been talking a lot about Lynn Dawson and Inside the NFL. It was such a revolutionary show at the time. The fact that you had an hour-long product that talked about nothing but NFL highlights. What do you remember about Lynn Dawson?
You're on mute.
On HBO is when the show came out, like 7:30 or 8.
We can hear you.
Oh, okay. Looked like it was muted. I'm sorry. It was literally the highlight of my week, aside from like watching the Lakers and Dodgers, I suppose. especially if the Raiders won, which really didn't happen often. So I'd watch the show regardless. But if my team actually won, and this is how old we are, it's pre-internet, I couldn't just Google highlights of them winning or whatnot. I had to wait, and I'd watch the entire show, and I could not wait for that maybe 8 seconds of the Raiders. It would always be the afterthought, like the Raiders beat the Dolphins thanks to Jeff Hostetler, you know what I mean? But like, it was so worth it. And I'm sure you guys discussed, he was one of the first to make a successful transition, not necessarily from the field to the booth, a la Pat Summerall, which he did, but he was one of the first when it came to commentary, when it came to perspective and highlights, if you will. NFL Hall of Fame player doing that at the time, along with Nick Bonacani. It was amazing, and he was so smooth. In fact, his nickname on the field, I don't know, I think Tom probably said it or you did, I can't recall, but it basically, if memory serves, alluded towards how smooth he was, and he was equally as smooth behind the camera, which at the time, unheard of.
He absolutely, he was great in front of the camera. I remember.
So wait, I can't remember. So did because the Chiefs retired his 16. Did Montana wear 16 in Kansas City, or
No, he wore 19.
That's right.
So he was 87. You were right, Brendan. I'm sorry I had that wrong. Just want to read a little bit of this just to give you what the family released, and I think it's a very apropos. Kansas City Chiefs legendary quarterback broadcaster Lynn Dawson has died at 87. The Dawson family issued a statement with his lovely wife Linda at his side. It was much sadness. We are informed of passing our beloved Lynn Dawson. He was a wonderful husband, father, brother, and friend. Lynn was grateful for many times and overwhelmed by the countless bonds he had made in football and as broadcaster. A little bit about his career. For decades, Dawson was served as a cornerstone of the Kansas City Chiefs. First Super Bowl in 1967, Super Bowl win in 1970. Dawson was always a Chief through the Super Bowl, but would never happen again. Retired at age 41 in 1976 from active playing. A Hall of Fame member and a graduate of the University of Purdue. He was recruited by Hank Stram at Purdue, who was later his head coach with the Chiefs.
Oh, I didn't.
Man, there's so much in here that he accomplished. Multiple time Pro Bowler, multiple time NFLer, but I think along with Joe Namath, he is responsible for us having the NFL as we see it today, which is the AFC, NFC. The NFL existed only in the realm of the NFL, which is the NFC conference. All those teams, the Patriots, the Jets, the Chiefs, the Chargers,
The Raiders.
the
Detail, though. Great point.
The Broncos.
Great point.
That all came from those two Super Bowl wins in 67 and 70. So, anyway, that one hit home for me. That was kind of part of my childhood. We'll move on now. Like to move on to what I call the day of the year, or some refers to as Robbie Davis choke day. But we'll get to that in a minute.
What? He did well this year.
He did do well. He did do well. Better than normal. Robbie, the consensus, we'll start with you. The consensus is you had your best draft in years, but the questioning from your peers comes when you decided to pick 2 tight ends in your first 4 picks.
Flex?
I mean, it's a PPR league. Look, Lamar Jackson's in a contract year. He's playing for his life. Andrews is his safest bet. That's an offense that runs through him. Look, I don't know if you watched the Falcons preseason game on Monday, but Mariota, his eyes are all over Pitts every drop back. They're going to both get a lot of targets. It's a PPR league. You want people that catch the ball, and tight ends catch the ball. especially those two in this NFL. I stand by it. Who was that? Cortland Sutton was the next receiver, and we'll get into this later. But running backs are so overrated in our league. And look, they're going to get hurt. And hell, I had Fournette. I got him undrafted last year. Now this was the dumbest pick of the draft. But Blake picks him in the second round this year. It's all about perception and who's going to get. Look, I'll be on the waiver wire, the first one of these guys that get hurt, and you guys have your third string running backs, and you're all like, oh, well, not a big deal. I've got this under control. But no, look, I like the two tight ends. Flex them out, and then it's much better than, say, someone like Brandon, whose second string quarterback is Jameis Winston. I mean, give me a backup tight end instead of giving that backup quarterback.
I thought Waddle was the worst pick that he made in the third round. Only because I had him with Tyreek Hill. The value could have gotten lower, but Andrews and Pitts. I mean, Pitts is a receiver for all intents and purposes. They're both a quarterback, especially a bad quarterback.
Pitts is the Falcons' number one. Those are both number one options.
Yeah, they are number one options, and they're not. In that sense, it makes them not tight ends in PPR. Now, some of his other picks. And let's be clear, because we resort to Robbie many times on the show because of his legal education and the fact that he is a good attorney. I hate to say this because I don't like defending anyone, especially someone who's an a-hole, but Robbie likes to shock the conscience, right? Like he likes to be the contrarian. He hosts the draft, his whole family at a beautiful campground with amazing resources on the water. My belief is he's more concerned about having a good time than being all hardcore and nerdy anal about who to pick and when. Being said, this year, usually the shock value is higher, in my opinion. I thought he did pretty well overall.
I agree. I think he tried to outthink himself, and he actually had a good draft is the problem.
I think he started to think for the first time in fantasy football.
Yeah, and by the way, Jameis Winston was in the 13th round. We only had 16, and it was like having people to pick. So don't start throwing rocks at a box,
right?
All right, let me.
You only have two running backs.
Observer.
I have three.
Review any of these drafts independently.
Say that again. I lost you.
Were you able to review the draft board that we sent you independently of our personal appearance? Because, hey, we drafted somehow, and I think this was rigged, boys. I was 8th, Robbie was 9th, Brandon was 10th, and Raj was 11th. I think we got screwed on this.
I thought that was interesting. I'm looking across the board. I'm like, well, where the hell is everybody? And then all the stickers on the board showed up on Robbie's column. The turd and so.
I didn't notice we were all four together until just now.
I think Tom would agree. 11th is the worst. At least it's 12 if you get back to back.
I'm picking 4th in my draft. So, but no, I mean, interesting. I kind of like the two tight end aspect that Robbie did for the simple fact that Kyle Pitts is not a tight end. He's the second coming of Kelvin Johnson. So he's going to be lining up in the slot. They're going to line him up on the end. He's going to put up numbers that most receivers can't touch. But Robbie's first pick, hey, as a fellow Detroiter, I like that. I like the DeAndre Swift first pick. I believe that's what you had, right, Brandon?
Yeah. That's me, yeah.
That was your first pick. So I like it. I think he's going to make some noise this year. I think he's really going to put himself on the map. As long as he can stay healthy, that's always the challenge. But
sure.
All in all, I mean, it looked like you guys had a great time, and I love the trash talking, and it'll be fun to watch the season unfold as we move along. It'll be good. So
there will be updates, I'm sure.
I hope so. I hope so.
All right, Raj, how did you feel about your draft? I know you hated the 11th spot, but how did you feel?
I tried to be, for once in my life, more about substance than potential and the sexy, alluring pick. The example I use is J.K. Dobbins. We all know that He was a great player at Ohio State. He cannot stay on the field, but now that he's healthy and he has been off a year and a half, we all loved him. But, I went with Eli Mitchell and Antonio Gibson over him. And the reason being in my thought process was, they're all three young. Mitchell and Gibson are both 24. Gibson he does fumble a bit. He had 5 fumbles, which was, I think, tied for the most in the NFL for a running back. But Mitchell was 8th in the NFL with 963 yards, and he averaged almost 5 yards per carry. Only person that was really comparable in terms of the amount of games and yards per carry was Derrick Henry. Now, Henry averaged 4.3, but Henry also had 10 touchdowns in 8 games. But Henry is not comparable to anyone because he is not human. And Gibson was 6th in the NFL last year. So they're not sexy names, but I like those picks. I liked Robinson after, another guy that I believe will do well. That was more or less an afterthought. A guy that had 1,100 and 1,200 yards a few years ago, and his quarterback, who was his quarterback, Tom, when he had 1,200 yards?
Oh, geez. Andy Dalton.
I wish. It wasn't.
Yeah.
It was the Bills starting quarterback. It was Trubisky.
Oh, no. You mean the Steelers quarterback? Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, sorry. Steelers. My
Mitch
bad.
Trubisky, yeah.
Yes. Sorry. When he was on the Bears, he was the Bears quarterback, though, when Robinson had that many yards, which I didn't think that was possible. So overall, I thought I did well. Sometimes I try to outsmart myself, which I probably did.
Yeah, Robinson's going to do, look at who he's got throwing him the ball, Stafford. So,
Godwin.
I'll say this. I think Blake had the worst draft. I think he reached for Fournette, took a QB way too early, and didn't really get a second pass catcher till round 5 in a PPR league. That's just not going to cut it.
I don't know, dude. And Randall, are we going to get into these value picks, like who we like it?
Yeah.
Okay. Then I'll wait because sadly, I think Blake gets 2 of my spots, really.
Well, you got one of my spots. I will go ahead and say it. Robbie's got one of my spots. So I will say one of your players will be in one of my elite win your league with this player. Robbie has
Let's
enough.
get to him. Let's get to it.
Oh, okay. Let everybody get around.
Sorry.
You just want somebody to pat you on the back right now because I'm on draft.
Slow down.
Brandon James, how did you feel about your draft?
I hated it.
Honest, man.
It's because you were sober,
Yeah.
bro. I told you.
I know. Well, that and it just being the 10th pick. So I did no studying, no mock drafts, anything this year. And I just went in. Obviously I know a lot about the NFL players, so I wasn't far behind, but I just went in and tried to get high upside players. So, it's boom or bust for me and my team. I feel like
Brandon, you almost copied my no running back strategy from last year. All wide receivers and 3 running backs.
Oh no! Well, I got 2 starting running backs at least in the first 3 rounds. So
Who's your third? I don't even see it.
I got Swift, Akers, and Dobbins.
Oh, my bad.
Yeah.
Apologies.
First, third, and 5th.
Well, Brandon, you're one of my hate picks, by the way. So
it's all good.
One of your picks is going to make my hate list. So
yeah, and that's fine. I'm sure it's Cam Akers. That's okay. I get that, and like I said, I'm looking for high upside here. Before Cam Akers got hurt, he was legit, and he's running people over, and I like that guy. He's got high upside on that offense.
That's a sexy pick, man. A lot of people love that dude.
But again, at that point, I threw everything up in the air. I'm like, I'm going for high upside here. I'm either going to hit on half of them. If I do, I'll be pretty competitive. If not, then I'll be second to last behind Robbie.
I will say this. I don't like how Cordell Patterson is listed as a running back.
Sorry, what?
Yeah.
I couldn't hear.
I don't like how Cordell Patterson is listed as a running back.
Oh, he was listed as a wide receiver too.
He was both in our draft board, remember?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, because I tried to pick him as a wide receiver, and he was already picked as a running back.
Yes.
I
All
think I should be able to play Debo Samuel like that. Then, but that's a whole different. I'll get into that. What am I saying? I think I'm the commissioner. I can do that.
That's not happening. Let me get into my draft a little bit.
Play him twice.
And I went in with 3 running backs I wanted, and I've got all 3 of them. And I think it's 3 running backs in unique, different positions. I had these 3 names on my list as the 3 running backs I was targeting. My wide receiver 1 was not going to be Jefferson because I didn't think he would fall to me at 8. Diggs was my plan at 8 all along. And then when Diggs wasn't there, Diggs was there and Jefferson was there, I liked Jefferson better. I love Aaron Jones, and I've heard about the Packers offense. But you take Devontae Adams out of that offense, who is the next most explosive player to get the football to? Aaron Jones. And I think he's a great value. I think James Carter now has that backfield to himself in Phoenix. With the Cardinals, there is no competition. There is no duel. James Conner is going to get all the carries. Same thing in Chicago. David Montgomery now has only Khalil Herbert as his competition, who's a pass catcher.
He's a China doll.
You what?
He's a China doll, though. He gets hurt every year.
Yeah. We'll see.
Well, and the Bears' offensive line is so bad, you're going to be getting first down runs.
Yeah, and they're playing from behind all the time.
David Montgomery's
And
not.
you're starting 3 running backs in a PPR league.
Robbie, Montgomery outscored.
If the guy catches the ball, it doesn't matter. It's just like
Well,
Pitts being a receiver and tight end.
2/3 of the passes that Pitts will plus run the ball. That's all I'm getting at when you're flexing a guy. He'll catch 60 balls and get 200
Did he catch from the IR? Do they count those sitting on the bicycle and just catching footballs?
He got you there, dude.
From the guy who drafted Jalen Waddle and Kyle Pitts, who both missed major time at points last year. Now, you can't draft by injury.
If I was playing for the Falcons, I'd fake injuries too.
You cannot play fantasy football.
He's on fire right now, dude.
So,
playing for the Falcons right now is worse than losing the Super Bowl up 28-3.
yeah, wait, your Titans are heading there next year. But
I do like your St. Brown pick for the second receiver.
Derrick Henry will be in Atlanta. I do like my St. Brown pick.
Yeah, I do too.
I like my receivers. You keep
That's good value. That was good value in that point.
Let's talk about receivers. Let's compare them up. Last thing, Robbie, Samuels, and Waddle. Randall, St. Brown, and Justin Jefferson. Raj, CeeDee Lamb, and Allen Robinson. Brandon, Devontae Adams, and Mike Williams. I'm going to say that maybe Brandon's got the best 2 receivers there. I mean,
hey,
Mike Williams, the question is catching the football and being that guy for Herbert. Keenan Allen is aging, but, Mike Williams is one of those guys that makes the difficult catch but drops the 3rd and 4 across the middle. Devontae, obviously I love him, but he's going to share a lot of catches. Hunter Renfrow is a machine, and he was one of my favorite picks that Dave made. Hunter Renfrow is going to be the guy, and if Waller's healthy, he's going to be another safety outlet. Now, don't get me wrong. Obviously, Carr and Devontae go way back, but he's sharing catches. And so, they're both phenomenal specimens and arguably 2 of the most talented athletic receivers in the NFL. But when it comes to substance, I'm concerned. I think Justin Jefferson's easily the best player of that bunch. As a group,
as far as targets,
coin flip.
So my thought on Devontae Adams here is because he does have such a pretty strong receiving group around him. He's going to take a little slight drop in targets and maybe catches, but he's going to be the deep threat and the touchdown. I think his touchdown upside goes up a little bit more.
And he's going to stay healthier by not having to be the guy.
Yeah. On Chain's team, I don't even think Mike Williams is going to be a starter. Talking about Devontae, but I like Devontae Smith of that group. I think with A.J. Brown now coming, I think Hurts and Smith have a lethal combo of this kind of running, let A.J. go deep and let Smith and Hurts kind of play this mid-range run-pass game. I love that pick. I had my eye on him. I can't remember which way the snake was going, but
funny, I actually like the next pick better.
I like Christian Kirk too a lot. I think
pay as much money as they paid for Christian Kirk in Jacksonville.
He's going to be the number one there.
They've got to play him. They've got to play him. All right, guys, that's enough about our draft. It's kind of crazy. I think everybody thinks I've already been making moves. I've already dropped my defense, dropped one of my receivers. I'm on a roll. Tom, before we get into this, though, you're at pick 5 in your league or pick 4?
Pick 4, yep.
Our league went Taylor.
Is it a PPR or is it straight up?
PPR.
Nobody plays anything but PPR rarely now.
Yeah.
Taylor, Eckler, McCaffrey, Cooper Kupp 4. Is that in your range of possibilities there?
I've got my eye on Kupp because it seems to be, looking at who's got the picks ahead of me, they're going to go definitely going to go Jonathan Taylor, McCaffrey. It's hard to say if Eckler is going to go that high. He definitely deserves to go that high. So to me, it's a toss up. If Eckler's there, it's something I'm definitely going to look at. But it's between Eckler and Cooper Kupp for 4. At
Jefferson will probably go 3rd, right?
Yeah, I mean so this is an interesting league. We've got probably about 4 people that have never played fantasy football, and they're my wife included, and so it's going to be interesting. They're all like super fired up about it and asking questions, and
just give him Robbie's number. He can talk him through the whole draft.
So are y'all doing on the computer with the best available, or is it going to be?
We were trying to do a live draft like you guys did, but we couldn't get everybody together. So we've got 9 of the 10 teams that are going to be in the house. So we'll all do it on the computer, and then so that'll make it kind of fun. But JP, friend of the show, his girlfriend's like asking him for all kind of advice, and he's like, "You're on your own with this one." So it's going to be pretty fun.
It's competition now.
Yeah. So we're having a banner made, so we're going to hang it in the speakeasy. So whoever wins the championship, they're going to put their team name on it, and we got some fun stuff planned. It's going to be cool.
Nice.
His ass is going to be on his own at nighttime pretty soon if he keeps that attitude up.
Oh no!
Hey,
not a chance.
Robbie, is the ring? Is that for anyone that wins the league, or is that for just yourself if you win it?
No, that's for the winner.
Nice. All right, guys, we've all had our share about our league. Last question: given a percentages, the 4 of us that drafted, your chances of winning the league. We'll go Randall, Shane, Raj, Robbie. I don't give myself much a chance. I don't like my team that much, but if I manage well, I'm going to give myself 5% opportunity to win the league. 5%. Shane?
I'd probably say 60. The draft is just a foundation, and it's all about how you maneuver through the entire season. So I like my chances. I'd say 60%.
That's brave, man. That's brave stepping out. Raj?
I will take that bet.
I was about to say the same, but he's right. To me, it's all about free agent acquisitions, in-season management. So, you all right over there?
I gotta stop drinking before I get on there.
To be clear, that's water. He doesn't drink alcohol. I don't really like to do that. I think, like Brandon, I have a nice foundation, and I'd like to think I do okay mid-season. But for the record, this is an auction league for acquisitions, so it's $1,000 budget. So it's a lot. It's not only about who you acquire, but about how you acquire. We all have a tendency, when Saquon Barkley went down a few years ago, and I think my dumbass had him. I can't remember his backup at the time, but I can picture him. But anyway, somebody's going to spend $500-$600 on that in game 2 or 3, giving them $300-$400, $500 for the rest of the year. So again, it's not just about who you acquire; it's how you acquire that person, which proves Brandon's point that much of it is in season.
I think that's true. Robbie, I'm saving you for the last because just want to make sure everybody gets this one. And hey, hold on.
Well, I've done some quick actual math. And so this is our 18th season. So out of the 17 prior, I've won 1. So that puts me at 6% winning. I think my draft this year was above my normal standards. So I'm going to triple that. I'm going to give me an 18% chance of winning this year. So
you can tell when your buzz kicked in. Like after Tyler Lockett, even though Geno Smith's his quarterback, you went Tyler Boyd, Cousins, Valdez-Scantling, Tua.
Cousins is going to – there's nobody better at the end of the year playing for garbage points than Kirk Cousins.
He did get me a loss in the championship game, but there were a lot of strategic, logical picks, and then it was just like, coin flip, Robbie emerged.
Yeah, I think it happened for about Kirk Cousins for me. But all right, guys. All right, let's get Tom active in this, and we'll do this, and then we're going to stop and talk a little bit of college football. Just something that was coming up right as we were getting on to the air. Later on, we're going to also talk about the PGA announcement. I believe that was in for tonight. Mets and Braves a little bit, and the NFC North, if we have time to get all that in. That's a lot of show. But we want to start with a subject, and you can just quickly go around, and we'll start with, let me explain my theory on this. Who wins you a league? I don't know that Jonathan Taylor being the first overall pick wins you a league. You expect to get max production out of Jonathan Taylor picking him first. I think he can cost you a league. I just don't think he can win you a league. But a pick that can win you a league is, we're going to start with wide receiver, so I'll give mine first. I absolutely loved, and he stole him from me, Rod's pick of Allen Robinson. And I think the fantasy magazines doesn't take time to analyze what is going on. You have a situation in LA where Robert Woods is gone. Cooper Kupp is the main wide receiver. You have no real second receiver other than Allen Robinson. Tutu Atwell was drafted last year and failed horribly. The tight end situation is not stellar. Tyler Higbee, I believe, is I know Gerald Everett left for Seattle, and I think Tyler Higbee is gone now. So you have tons of Matthew Stafford's targets to Allen Robinson, who 2 years ago was being drafted as a top 10 wide receiver. So to get him where you did, I thought that was a brilliant pick, and probably the pick I would have made over Amar St. Brown if he would have been there on the snake back. All right, Tom, who is your wide receiver that can win somebody a league?
And I'll go back to Brandon's pick. And I do understand, Raj's logic here, and I can see where he's coming from. But I think you take a Davante Adams, who's, coming into a situation where now, like I said earlier, he's not the guy. He is the guy, but he's not going to be relied upon to be that guy. And then you mix in all the other targets that Carr has. So he's going to see a lot better coverages, in my opinion. So, and then you flip the switch with him having a relationship with Derek Carr. I think that makes it more suitable for a positive season for him. But as far as what wins you a fantasy football title, I kind of going off keel here. I think it's the mid rounds. I think it's the guys that are the ones that you wouldn't necessarily feel like in the beginning of the draft are the ones, but they're the ones that are coming in, filling in for injuries. Like a St. Brown who came out, I think it was after week 6 last year, and he may have been the best receiver in the NFL. But you look at some of those not so big names come toward the middle at the end of the season that you're really focusing on. So, but to get somebody that's going to give you, big production, I like Adams in this draft, and I just think he's kind of got a new vision. He's playing with a buddy, and let's face it, Rodgers Raiders are probably top 5 team in the NFL on both sides of the ball. So
Really?
we'll see. I think so. I like their defense, and I like what they've done on offense. I could eat crow, but we'll see.
Hey, I hope you don't. The offensive line scares me, but that's awesome. I hope.
All right, Roger.
In terms of receiver,
Yes.
I'm always a guy that believes in number one options. Ordinarily, I look at a guy that I think is just going to blow it out, underestimating my own self during the season and thinking, all right, this guy's going to, like a rookie, for example, you are boom or bust. You got Drake London, who I think is the most talented NFL football player in that draft, in the 7th, and then Rashad Bateman, who is easily the number 1. The Ravens got rid of Hollywood for a reason. He's more suitable for Lamar Jackson, but he hasn't shown much. So ordinarily, I am that guy. I tried to go more with substance. And when I look at that, picks I like Dave's Renfro pick for earlier, sort of the difference of what Tom said in the sense that, like, he's just that guy. He is going to catch the football. He is an automatic third down conversion. I have 4 of them, so I don't want to steal anyone else's thunder, so we can come back to me on 2 of them. Both of those are Arden's pick, but my favorite, which is going to upset Rob, is Chase Claypool. And Blake got him in the 8th. And the reason that I say that is Trubisky likes big post-up receivers. There's not much else there, even though I drafted their tight end Freiermuth later, who I do like. But I think Claypool proved himself last year. He's now the number 1.5. Obviously, Deontay Johnson is there. But I don't think Trubisky has that downfield ability. So I thought that was a nice pick at 8. Now that I remember Deontay Johnson being there, I literally forgot. I'll probably go with Arden's Alan Lazard at number 6 as well.
Yeah, that was
Aaron Rodgers, the crybaby, whined about his young receivers in public before talking to them in the preseason. But yeah, Lazard is not flashy, not sexy, but that's a good pick.
all right, Mr. Chang. You got time, or do you need to take a small?
Yeah, no, I'm good.
Oh, you're going not bad.
So I'm going to be a little bit of a narcissist here and go with my own 2 picks in the 6th and 7th round. I like Devontae Smith. That's a late pick, the number 1 guy. I know A.J. Brown's coming to town, but he's got a little bit more rapport with Hurts than A.J. right now. So he's a pretty good athlete as well, as we all know. And I like that, but probably out of the 2, I like Christian Kirk better because he's kind of flown under the radar. Like we talked about with that mess in Jacksonville, I'll look for Trevor Lawrence to bounce back for sure this year, not under the Urban Meyer regime. So they paid Kirk a lot of money, and this guy, he can stretch the field, and I mean, he was a top 10 wide receiver at one point last year. So I really like him, especially getting him in the 7th round.
I like Chris Kirk too. Go ahead, Robbie.
I'm going to also be self-serving, and as someone who watched every Bengals game last year, look, Jamar Chase is going to get his, and then it's T. Higgins and Tyler Boyd, and whichever ones that because I had Boyd and Higgins both on my team last year, and Joe Burrow, my famous debacle of a draft, my running back strategy, and then 2 receivers on the same team. But anyways, so I watched them, and I saw one of those 2 gets hot every game. And if talking about someone that from the backgrounds that can win you a championship, if Boyd is that player towards the end of the playoffs, he can get you through.
All right, that's well thought out.
That's a large conditional, however.
Well, I mean, we're talking about who can. I mean, hell, the first round, the first best receiver can win you a championship anytime.
Value pick that you enjoy. Yes, you're absolutely right. I'm sorry.
Who was your other 2, Raj?
Gabriel Davis, who was sort of a sexy pick this day and age after Diggs. And
Hot in the playoffs.
Yes, absolutely. I said Lazard, Renfro, and Claypool. The picks that I would have liked, i.e. with my heart, are Pickens, Kirk, but only because we don't know how he's going to, Kyler Murray is a little bit different than Trevor Lawrence. Burks, who I picked, who honestly I thought all you guys Titans fans, which is 60% of our draft, would have a hard on for him. And I was like, yeah, I'll trade him. And then a lot of people like Sky Moore on the Jets, which I know he was great at Western Michigan, right? Is that right? Yep. And then one of my picks is Chris Olave and Garrett Wilson, who I think Chain picked, the Ohio State rookies. So the sexy picks were those guys I just mentioned. But yeah, Gabriel Davis
say that
I liked.
I did come in the draft trying to find unexplored ones as I drafted. I don't think I have a wide receiver on my team that's been in the league longer than 4 years. You got Justin Jefferson, 4 years. Drake London's a rookie. St. Brown's 2nd year. Bateman's 2nd year. I tried to draft for upside, but we'll see how that works.
While they're those top 3 don't need upside. They're already awesome, and I think you did really well there. I don't know about Bateman, but yeah, I got you. Those were great picks.
Let's do wide receiver and tight end together, and that way we can move it along just a little bit. While we'll do both your wide receiver and tight end together, and I'll start with wide receiver and tight end and quarterback together. I'm sorry, tight end and quarterback together. So everybody's going to have a quarterback and a tight end in this round. I'm going to give Robbie my tight end award, and I would have took him with the next pick. Now, I don't think Kyle Pitts outproduces projections to the level that you're just like overwhelmed by the point. He's not going to have 150 catches. He'll be in the 90 catch range. Drake London's there. He's going to have his share. The Falcons surprisingly have better receivers than people give them credit for, with London, a couple of free agent pickups. But I do like Pitt a lot. I would have drafted him the next pick.
And losing one of their best players in Calvin.
It's not necessarily if there's better receivers than what you think. It's what the quarterback's looking at and what the quarterback can process.
I'm a Falcons fan. He's going to have 9. I will stake my claim on he will struggle to break 100 targets.
I've spent many of seasons watching Mariota play quarterback. I can tell you what it looks like.
All right. Even if he does, I'll tell you why I hate about that pick.
It's horrible.
You're restricted to play him in the flex. You have no flexibility in your team. That's the only thing I hate about the pick.
Oh yeah.
You are forced to play Pitts and Andrews every week, and I don't know if that's necessarily a strategy I like. Now, I will give you one other real.
That's the guy who came in last place.
That's because I set my team when you were supposed to, and you didn't do it. So we'll remember that too. I didn't want to have to bring that up, but I did.
Oh, sandbagger.
So Raj won the league. The other three of us came in 10th, 11th, and 12th.
I'm going to give you one more tight end that may explode, and then I'll get on my quarterback real fast. I do think that Gerald Everett, moving from Seattle to LA to the Chargers, could explode. He's a talented receiver that was a right-round pick. At quarterback, the biggest boom and the biggest bust of my draft is Trey Lance. If you look at the 2 games Trey Lance started as a QB
In the preseason.
more mobile than Lamar Jackson.
Wow.
He will be a huge factor in the run game. I have always drafted a quarterback that slung it around, and I wanted Aaron Rodgers, or I wanted this guy. This year, I completely threw that out and tried to find somebody that was mobile, because I kept ready. You think about it, 10 yards for a rushing or 25 for passing. I think Trey Lance is the one guy, and I really think Trey Lance will have a huge year in San Francisco. If I'm wrong, you can kill me, but I have another draft this weekend, and I'm drafting Trey Lance in that draft too.
Now you got Jalen Hurts as well, and I think Lance could be the pick of the draft. Well, as long as he doesn't take a knee, right? Oh,
yeah. Okay.
Go there. Did I go there? Very similar guys, but yeah, Lance could make Hurts expendable for a trade. I think Lance getting him where you did is a very, very good pick. Very smart.
That was, I think, my best pick of the draft.
Robbie, his weapons are insane.
Well, if you're right about Lance, then Debo was the steal of the draft at 9, because that's going to make.
If I'm right about Lance, he's rushed for about 800 yards, not through 1,000. He's thrown.
If he rushes for 800 yards, then I think he's injured.
Sounds like a Niners quarterback.
We're looking for Lamar Jackson-like numbers from Trey Lance. 780.
I would say
Lamar Jackson.
I'll be quick. I think we talked about fantasy for a while. Brandon getting Rodgers where he got him, and actually that whole round of 8, Burrow, Brady, Rodgers, Wilson, that was all. Those were all really good picks. Tight end, Kittle at 5. I think those were the steals of the draft.
That Kittle at 5 was a steal. You are correct.
Along the same lines, quickly, I'm going 9. By the way, Stewart getting Dak in the 9th, great pick, and Blake getting Zach Ertz. That was my second Blake love that Robbie hates, but I thought those were great picks in the 9th round. That's it. Tight end, quarterback.
Shane.
Man, I really like Lanier's pick of Wilson for QB, kind of that late after our run of Burrow, Brady, Rodgers. Wilson could be a guy that really is a top 3, top 4 quarterback potentially. So we'll see what happens there in Denver. And as far as tight end goes, again, I mean you've got a handful of elite tight ends that are. I don't know if they necessarily win you a league, but they're a big part of the foundation of your team. But you're looking at this point for high upside, in my opinion. And that's why I went Kyle Rudolph late. I mean, that's kind of a sneaky pick. I think with Tom Brady at the helm, he loves his tight ends. And Kyle Rudolph can catch the ball. I mean, he's not Gronk, obviously, but with some of the outside weapons could leave him open a lot more. And, it's a guy that could, supposedly get 15 points a game if he scores a touchdown. So, again, it's one of those high upside picks. It's a boom or bust kind of guy.
Sky Moore does play for the Chiefs, correct? JP's out. All right, Tom, fire it away.
Well, for me, it's I'm going to kind of go homer here. I'm looking at a guy that plays for the Lions that he's got all the upside in the world. Unfortunately, he's been hurt the last 2 years, the first 2 years of his career. I think TJ Hawkinson is looking to have a pretty breakout season. I really look for him to be Jared Goff's kind of security blanket in that offense. He's on a final year of his contract. The Lions picked up his option for this year, and I think a lot of people were surprised. But I think he's got a lot of potential, and he showed flashes his rookie year, but he was a little bit too aggressive, and it cost him the season. But I like him. Another tight end that I think is going to have a huge season is Dawson Knox in Buffalo, especially after losing his brother in the offseason. I think that's going to fuel him quite a bit. So look for big numbers from him. And obviously Waller in Las Vegas is going to do what he does. So quarterbacks, I think it's between Josh Allen and Justin Herbert. I think those are two guys that have a huge chip on their shoulders, and they're looking to have a bigger seasons that they had last year and move a little bit further than they did. So specifically Josh Allen, I think he's ready to take the next step. He's, in my opinion, he's probably the best quarterback in the NFL, and he can run. He's probably got the best arm, most accurate. So and that team's loaded on both sides of the ball. So him going to Dawson Knox is going to be a big combination. So I think Josh Allen is the one quarterback that he's going to get you a lot of value. And I think
Dawson Knox.
Yeah, I think in most people's drafts, he they might go fourth round, take a quarterback, things of that nature. But I just Knox has got something to play for bigger than football, and say what you want, that means something, and I think it goes a long way, and you'll see his numbers prove it.
Shane's gone from I hate my draft, I'm going to win it all.
Well, after the outside information about everyone talking my team up, I feel pretty good now.
Nobody has ever went through a fantasy draft and had worse tight ends than I do. I will just go ahead and admit, Mike Gesicki.
Yeah, I don't even know who yours are.
Mike Gesicki and Alberto. So I did pick up Ryan Tanya. I've got
I'll trade you Pitts
Bob
for
Tunyon?
Jefferson.
Bob Tunyon is probably Rodgers' favorite.
This is why you guys can't trade.
Randall, let's start off the season with a trade.
This is why you can't trade. That's the kind of BS that goes on.
That you saw.
That you get vetoed.
I broke his heart when I took Jefferson, did I not?
Oh, you did.
Yeah. All right, Robbie, I'm going to start with you first on this one. I'll throw out my opinion. I screwed up in the draft, and I will be kicking myself because there was a guy that I wanted so bad, and I kept going, these idiots don't even know who he is. And I kept looking at my draft list, and it would get by Raj and a couple of other, I thought, smooth drafters, and I'd be like, oh, I'm not going to move yet. And he was way down the ESPN rankings, and I was like, oh, nobody's going to think of him. Nobody's going to think of him. But Arden in the 10th round took Damian Pierce.
Yeah.
I think he is the starter day one for the Houston Texans. And he got a starter in round 10. Great pick. And that's kind of, I think he has, I like Pierce's upside maybe more than his 4th round pick or 5th round pick and Josh Jacobs. That's how much of him. So
totally agree.
Yeah, I'm anti-Texans, so I don't believe in picking any of those players. But I get your point.
Yeah,
the one that got stolen for me is 3rd round. I was thinking AJ Brown was going to come to me instead of Waddle, and then I was going to try to pair Brown with Hurts later on. Then when I had to pick Murray, so that's kind of where I was thinking it was headed. Was Brown was going to fall, and then pair him with Hurts. Because I like Hurts this year. I do. But yeah, that was my kind of bummer missed out pick.
Well, who was your running that could win you a league?
There is no running back that can win you a league in a PPR league. Just stop it already. It's like saying a kicker will win.
What if a running back catches 60 balls and has 8 touchdowns running and 5 touchdowns receiving?
Alvin Kamara 2 years ago.
Yeah, like Alvin
Yeah.
Kamara.
Yeah, I don't think the person that had Alvin Kamara won that year.
You're going to have to win the league for me to buy into the zero running back. All right.
You're in luck.
Question being, is the guy that I wish fell to me that was stolen, if you will? I was just thinking about this earlier, actually. One of them was, you son of a gun, with Drake London in the 7th. I ended up with Treylon Burks. I didn't think the rookie running backs were going to make a push, or receivers rather, that early, and clearly they did. The other one is a receiver in the 7th as well, and that's Brandon Ayuk. The only reason why I believe that is I drafted him last year. I watched him in Arizona State, and I let him go like a dumbass early because I overreacted, and he ended up having an amazing season over the last 8 games or what have you. So I was hoping he would fall to me. So both of them are receivers. Both of them are in the same round, being the 7th. Again, Drake London and Brandon Ayuk.
Who's your running back that's a sleeper?
A sleeper or who I missed out on?
No, this is a sleeper that can win you the league as a running back.
I don't even know if he's much of a sleeper, but Allen getting Ramondre Stevenson from New England in the 8th. Now, I understand that you can never trust a Bill Belichick fantasy football player, but I thought that was a very, very good pick. The other one was Geoff getting Ronald Jones. And I think that was in the 12th round because it's not a secret that the Chiefs aren't stoked on Clyde Edwards-Helaire, who is still on a rookie contract with only 2 years remaining and about $4 million due. So there are whispers that they may cut him. And Ronald Jones is a USC guy, but, I mean, he's proven that he can run the ball. The only thing is with Ronald Jones is he's not – I mean, he can catch the ball. I saw him in college, but Brady didn't throw it to him or to any running backs for that matter, but he only caught 10 balls last year.
All right, Brandon, a pitch you missed and a running back that can win you a league.
Running back that can win you a league. I really like Kamara there in the 3rd. I mean, I think he went far too late. And, I mean, to be honest, Allen, in my opinion, has the best set running backs in our entire league with McCaffrey, Kamara, and then Stevenson.
You mean Allen's wife, right?
Well,
and I got one more, Randall, after they're done.
Yeah, whatever. That's three set of running backs, a 3-headed monster. And as long as, obviously, if McCaffrey can stay healthy, but I like Kamara. I don't think he's getting suspended this year. I think it's going to prolong to next year. So it's a good pick because if there was no evidence or word that he even could get suspended, I mean, he would have been gone in the first 2 rounds. So that's one that can definitely win your league in the 3rd round. And the pick that I missed, I think it was Tom Brady, man. I was sitting there talking to a couple of people. Raj was right beside me at the time. Maybe he ever heard, maybe he didn't. And,
you mean the guy that led the NFL in yardage last year at 5,300 yards and touchdowns? And yeah, I stole your pick.
Hey, he was out there, and I was 1 pick away from it. So that's all I'm saying.
Well, you just summed up fantasy football drafts in 1 sentence.
Exactly.
I was 1 pick away from it.
All right.
That was the one I wanted. I didn't want Aaron Rodgers and his voodoo drugs that he takes or whatever he's doing.
His voodoo coffee.
Yeah.
All right, Tom. know you don't have a pick you could miss, but how about a running back? And then I'll
Well,
come to
I agree with Brandon with Kamara. Him and McCaffrey, obviously, they're healthy. They're so far ahead of everybody else. They're specifically Kamara's going to catch the ball in the backfield. The game he had, I want to say he scored 6 touchdowns 2 years ago. Yeah, I had him on my team. Fortunately, I won single-handedly from him alone, but that didn't really do me much in the season. But I would throw a name out here that I don't think gets enough recognition. This guy's a bulldog. He gets the yardage on the ground and he scores touchdowns. Nick Chubb in Cleveland. All he's done is get good yardage, touchdowns, and he doesn't catch the ball so good out of the backfield. I know he's had Baker Mayfield throwing the ball to him. That might change a little bit once Watson comes into play. He might get used a little differently in the offense. But I like Nick Chubb. He gets after it, and he's quiet. He's about the one running back that reminds me of Barry Sanders in a sense that he goes out there and he does it, and he's professional. He doesn't run his mouth, which I like that in a player. I think his head's on right. So I like that. I like him. I don't know how much Hunt's going to be involved in the offense. So it'll be a battle between him and their third string guy. I can't think of his name, but so yeah, I mean, I think Nick Chubb is a guy that you can really lean on to drive your team.
Not to be disrespectful here, but Nick Chubb is not a great fantasy football running back. He is a great NFL running back, but not a good fantasy running back. He just doesn't stay consistent with the points, in my opinion, from what I've seen over the years.
Well, Raj, last point of this segment. You said you had one more.
It's Tony Pollard. And ironically enough, I had Zeke last year, and he somehow got me 16 touchdowns or what have you. But I don't trust him health-wise for a lot of reasons. He's been the bell cow for too many years. And Pollard averaged like 5.76 yards per carry. And it's just a matter of time. To get him in the 9th round, that's a great value. And that is a guy that could literally win you a league because he can catch the football as well.
All right, guys. Great segment. Let's move on just a little bit. We're going to talk about I could talk about fantasy football all day, but when I look at this draft board, 2 things jumps out that I just didn't realize until this show. One, how good Allen's running backs were, and how bad my tight ends are. I mean, Jesus, was I even – wow. That's
Allen definitely has the best running backs in the league by far.
All right.
I don't know. Both those guys they're high risk, man. High reward.
I mean, Stewart's running backs are good too. But
that's fantasy football. This type of disagreement, that's fantasy football in a nutshell.
Yeah, especially this time of year. I have a draft this weekend.
But it's money ball, bitches. Like, no one cares about running backs.
How would you know?
He never has any, so.
Yeah.
Let's ask the last place guy.
Yeah. All right, let's move on.
Yeah, move on.
Live Golf. Let's talk about this breaking news, and it really got heated today on the internet. We've had transfer portal non-issues all year, and we've now got, I guess, the first spark up of the transfer portal, and it's a weird situation. And I want to give a little background. It's from Rogers Trojans to school Robbie and I went to, the University of Tennessee. But I think there's more to it because it's Brew McCoy. He is transferred the 3rd time, USC, now to Tennessee. Arrested last year and never charged. But I almost see this as maybe hard feelings going back to Oklahoma. Josh Heupel, Lincoln Riley on the same staff at one point. Heupel fired for Lincoln Riley. Also, last year, I think the University of Tennessee felt that a little bit that not a little bit. I think they felt a lot that Lincoln Riley was one of the more active recruiters of Tennessee talent after Jeremy Pruitt was fired. But what got me is it kind of blew up all over the internet, got into the social media, and I think I sent everybody a link of a video. I don't know how many of you watched it, where one of the local podcasts was talking about tagging the coaching staff and the administration at USC, which I did. I very much did. But I thought the line of tagging recruits might have went too far. But Rod, you as a USC fan, you felt that it was way too overboard. So let's just start there and work around, because this is really one of the first big issues of the transfer portal. Rod, go ahead.
I'm trying to be diplomatic here.
Correct as you can.
Because most of us just laugh. It's not maybe Robbie, as a Tennessee fan and an attorney, wants to go first, because I think I enjoy confrontation too much, not with anyone here, but yeah, I've read so much from Tennessee fans that I lost my mind. Well, and I think it's a very simple situation. I
usually never yield the mic, but I don't know the facts of this, so I'm gonna listen to both you and Randall's sides of the facts.
But which is why people don't comment. Nobody knows the facts.
Well, no, I barely know what's going on. I've been so busy outside of the sports world. I've seen I don't even know who this kid is.
So essentially,
listen to y'all.
Brew McCoy was at USC, and there was an alleged incident with a girlfriend or ex-girlfriend, and no charges were filed with the police, but she went to the hospital. They were documenting bruising, and a judge approved a restraining order, which is still active. So USC had an active Title IX investigation. Brew left before that investigation was resolved, adjudicated. So what we call the NCAA non-participation opportunity form, which the operative word being opportunity, essentially says that this player's cool, this student athlete, he's not a player, is good to go. He's ready to play. He didn't participate because of a opportunity that wasn't there, not because of a lack of eligibility or any other reason. And it requires you to sign a form, which there's multiple conditions, and the NCAA bylaws require you to know the truth, right? I mean, if SC essentially, legally and within the jurisdiction of the NCAA would have committed perjury if they would have signed this form. One of the main clauses, it's not even a clause, it's got points, and you have to sign it knowing the points. But one of them is you had to know that the athlete was eligible at the time of transfer, which when you have an active Title IX, that's impossible to know. So he left before because he, in my opinion, he saw the writing on the wall. There was internet blame on Twitter, which is Twitter. No one's rational on Twitter. Fan is fanatic on Twitter. But I saw all kinds of things with fans. And again, it's not just Tennessee, it's irrational folks, but a lot of Tennessee people on the internet this particular time. Oh, at USC, you're cowards, this and that, sign the form, blah, 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 with people that know absolutely nothing, let alone about the situation, like all of us, because no one was there, and had not read the form and lack independent thought. I apologize for saying that, but many people cited Outkick.com joke sites, Saturday Down South, Outkick, by the way, was started by Clay Travis. I mean, never mind. I could go on for days about people that blindly follow these sites. But the point being is it's misplaced blame. It's misplaced aggression. And yeah, nobody likes when a kid that's good is not eligible. But don't be an idiot and start placing blame elsewhere and calling names and things. And I'm a bigger idiot for engaging on Twitter just because I guess I'm inundated with it and I don't get it. Like, it's got nothing to do with anyone but the NCAA. And it's quite clear when you read the form and read the bylaws. But it's much easier to blame people.
Let me ask a question as a Tennessee fan sitting here with both Tennessee gear on. And you and I have never had it, we're not going to have it. My aggression or my tagging on was due to and USC released a statement saying that we've never blocked through. We signed all the forms back in January. That's the point I kind of lost my stuff. Like, okay, if you signed the form in January, you've never blocked Brew.
Not that form. The NCAA non-participation opportunity form is very unique and very different. They should have been more clear, which people ran with, which
the McCoy family, who is very involved at SC. I mean, I think the McCoy family, the father played at SC or some ties to SC, I believe. I almost believe Brew's a second generation, but we'll find out. It doesn't matter. He wore 5 because he loved Reggie Bush. But that rumor or the family saying that they have been told that the NPO had been signed was attached to all this that went around. And I think that's the danger of it. I really
said that's not true.
Well, so question here.
No one would say that.
So question. So
it's silly.
I saw this morning. I think it was this morning or yesterday on Twitter. USC released a statement, and then there was the Vol Twitter. So was ultimately it getting done? Was this because Vol Twitter just kind of ransacked USC's athletic department and then they signed whatever? I don't know I don't know the slightest thing about the different documents y'all are referencing. But is that
didn't help either. He was like, whatever, I don't know. It's not in our hands. And then Vol Twitter ran with it.
Yeah, I mean, Vol Twitter. So I'm a Vol fan, and
but you're
obviously, and there's so Tennessee, much like most of the southeastern schools, are divided between fans and then like sports fans, like people that watch and think about the games, like
schools. Yeah.
And I text y'all earlier, like, man, the Vols can lose a road game, and so I'm huge. I like both sports, but especially Vols basketball. The Vols can lose an away game at Arkansas, which is one of the toughest places to play in the country. And Vol Twitter's like, "Oh, Barnes is a bum. Get him out of here." Like this is the best regular season stretch the Vols have ever had. And it's like, yeah, I'm a season ticket holder. I've seen them lose 3 games at home in the last 2 years. Like that's what I want as a season ticket holder. Like, yeah. And it's like they would have run him out of town. And yeah, there's a small group of Vol Twitter that is it's probably the most powerful Twitter army that's out there as far as sports wise. But yeah, they can get crazy. And just to back up for this young man,
Travis driven, by the way, if that gives you any
he's
whatsoever.
But this guy, Brew McCoy,
Clay Travis, Trey Wallace. I don't want to give that guy name recognition on any because
also guys who I know I respect greatly from Vols Quest. He was in the middle of this and he got me fired.
Hobbs?
No, Austin Price from Vol Quest.
Oh,
and it did pertain that he felt like USC kind of said, gave a very general statement and didn't speak to the specifics of it. And his point was, and I'll give you,
sorry,
that no one. Lynn J. Dixon left West Virginia and was eligible the next day. There has been many players transferred, and this is an open to everybody. I don't want to make it a Tennessee USC thing. I think this is the first test, though, because I do think this was an ugly situation. And back to Robbie's point, there's no way to block anybody from transferring other than this. So is this the first of many cases that we're going to be seeing, or is this just a rare occasion? Tom, I'd like, as an outsider, you kind of throw a little bit there. To me, this is an anomaly, not a new standard. And then come to Robbie.
Well, what I've read is the transfer portal works. Doesn't it give you one opportunity
Yes.
to transfer without the 1 year
Yes.
sitting out? And so are they looking at this as he transferred from USC to Texas and then back to USC? Are they looking at it in that regard as why they might be hanging it up? I that's, just a theory I might have. I'm probably wrong. But Rob's just shaking his head, so I'm probably wrong.
I mean, you're too logical when it comes to the NCAA.
Yes, I think this is probably going to be a one-off since it is getting so much headway, specifically between those two schools. What are we in the third year of the transfer portal, and thus far it's been pretty smooth sailing so far. So
this is the situation in the transfer portal that's made it to this level.
Yeah, so I think the track record that the NCAA has kind of been on as of late and taking a lot of heat, I think they want nothing more to get this done and not kind of cross this path anymore. So I think this is a one-off, in my opinion.
All right, Robbie, I interrupted you early. Let you have the floor.
Yeah, and so I used to do mediations for restraining orders in California back in the day, 10 years ago now, maybe 11 years ago. And I don't know if this has anything to do with it. But if I recall correctly, I think California, a restraining order, burden of proof is probable cause, where most states are clear and convincing evidence. Does that sound right, Ross? Am I misremembering that?
No, you're absolutely right. And a judge essentially verified that. And by the way, I love Drew McCoy. I want the best for him.
And this is reckless speculation completely. But I'm just trying to think about different things. If I'm playing devil's advocate for USC, you have a student who's there, and there is if you let him, I don't know the paper, I don't know anything else. I'm just saying this legality thing, there could be merit to it. But I don't know. I don't know the slightest thing about NCAA laws or transfer portal, like how the actual legal thing does. But I do know that or at least I think, and what I can remember is that California has a very low burden of what you can get a restraining order versus other states. And so there is, if it's most states, like for Tennessee, it's a clear and convincing, credible threat of violence. In California, it is much lower. It can be a verbal kind of assault or something like that. You will get a restraining order. So
important point being is you don't need a criminal charge, which is what many people believe, which requires a much higher burden of proof, which is what Robbie's saying. Now, background, USC got hammered for Reggie Bush, which was an entirely different situation. Do I believe they made an example out of USC and Reggie Bush? Absolutely. USC has also had a lot of bad pub lately, deservedly so, including a gynecologist that should rot in hell. So they're going to err, especially with a new AD, on the side of caution, which you should do when it comes to these types of situations. I don't want to pigeonhole the South or the Midwest, but is eligibility in football the primary issue here? No, I don't believe so. When people don't get what they want, and we're all fans. Fans are short for fanatics, which I say all the time. They're going to place blame, and I do the same. Absolutely do the same. But you have this countless people saying that USC has some reason to not sign off on Brew. And the only point being is if you read the form and you read the bylaws of the NCAA, they can't, if they sign off, they're essentially saying, yeah, he's eligible at USC. This issue is not an issue anymore. This young lady, her Title IX investigation doesn't matter to us. If it would have come to a conclusion and he would have been absolved, if you will, then yeah, by all means, no problem. But it's an active investigation, and he intelligently left before the adjudication occurred. Now, reckless speculation, he probably knew he was screwed, in my opinion, and I wish him the best. He's a good kid. I'm not going to get into particulars. We weren't there, blah, 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 just like we weren't there during this particular situation where people blame USC for that. And Josh Heupel, God love him, amazing coach, smart guy. He was a moron for what he said in the media, just antagonizing many fanatics that were just looking for someone to hate. And regardless of, and dare I make a political tangent, if you will, we all enjoy blaming someone else, Republican, Democrat, what have you. And this became a blame game. And that's what annoyed me, because none of us really know the situation. Your VolQuest source, I have a source that arguably is quite close, but I wasn't there. I don't know. It's all hearsay. So it's not about placing blame. It's about hoping this young man and this young lady can figure things out, and he can have a future and she can have a future, because it's bigger than football. That's the bottom line.
All right. Let's wrap her up. Brendan, you got anything you were caught up in the?
No, I'm just listening.
Go ahead.
It appears that anytime we get in this situation where there's some type of legal investigation or what have you, and it's a high-profile player, there's always, the team that he's going to or for is up in arms and free him, let him play. Like, there's very little regard to the situation of what actually happened and truth on what's going on. So I don't know much about this. It's just pretty much from what you guys have said. I've barely read anything on it.
There's a reason for that. USC was shocked that this became a issue recently. It was a blame game.
Vol Twitter will do that to you. They will attack.
I'm not on VolQuest. I'm not a Vol fan or on any of that. But
the fact they did sign the NPO according to their statement.
They didn't ever. Not even close.
The NCAA hand, according to everybody in the thing now, his last step is to clear the NCAA. So we'll see within the next 10 days to 2 weeks if Bruce is suddenly eligible come the next week or so, and we'll know Vol Twitter did affect, or the Vol Twitter.
They did nothing. Once he left
Twitter
NCAA's hands, USC
Vol
never
Twitter
signed a
got a
statement.
coach fired and an athletic director fired.
Vol Twitter is a bunch of dipshits, dude. No offense.
So
It's insane.
The educated individuals that went to that great school, like you guys, are different.
I do.
But everyone Twitter is a dipshit. But yeah, Randall, you're mischaracterizing.
I do.
That's not the case.
I do wish Brew and the girl the best, but at this point, we have a young man that was not charged.
That doesn't.
It
matter.
does matter. If he's not charged,
That doesn't matter. That's so simplistic. It's ridiculous.
he was eligible.
Bobby, you want to take this one?
Deshaun Watson.
That's
Watson, exactly.
Hey, was Deshaun Watson charged?
I
Was
am.
Deshaun Watson charged? Is that what you need?
But
Is that the simple solution that makes you sleep at night? That's
First
Vulture.
first and foremost, just don't get yourself in that situation.
Whoever wants to be muted can be muted, but I'm going to finish.
All right, go ahead. Go ahead, Randall. You have your time.
And he is eligible to play at USC. There was talk of him returning to USC. He is at Tennessee now, and he should be given a chance to play. The young lady has went on with her life. It is a clear issue that USC said they wanted him to be eligible, have no problem with it. So let's let him play, and we'll see in the next few weeks if he gets his clearance. Raj has his point, and it's very valid, and I just wanted to make mine.
A fan. Oh, my God. You are proving tennis fandom.
Don't, man. I mean, the guy was not charged. You can scream at
It doesn't
me. He is
freaking
not
matter.
charged. California court.
She went to the hospital. There was scientific
Say
proof.
whatever you want. He is not charged.
A judge gave him a restraining order.
Reckless speculation.
All right, never mind.
allegedly.
Randall, you are
Allegedly.
wow. Ask
Wow.
Robbie about not being charged and see what he says.
I'll stand by my statement. Now, that's
Robbie,
what I'll let you
does
have
it matter if he was not charged or not?
everybody.
All
I
right,
had my,
never mind.
I
You
said,
are Vol Twitter. All right, let's move on
All right.
because
that's fine. And
let's
you
move
want
on
me to-
because
you
you are
rational
making me
USC
laugh in my
so-
brain, and it's so sad that I can't even fucking talk about it.
Okay, we'll move on now. I knew that would happen. So let's move on to the next subject. Right now, it's
Tom, how you doing, Tom?
just going on.
Time out for a while.
Yeah. That didn't have to be that way. I'm sorry, everybody. But, I wanted to make my point. It is now time for this to be over. So let's move on to our next, which we were going to discuss.
The North NFC.
NFC. NFC North. Bring Raj back on. NFC North. Let's go there. So, Tom, you are NFC North man. Let's start there.
Yep. Well, this is clearly probably the worst division in football, maybe outside of the AFC or the NFC South. The big question mark, what's going to happen with Green Bay? Is Minnesota going to be able to keep Kirk Cousins healthy? How bad are the Bears going to be? Pretty bad in my estimation. The team, and they like to call it cornbread up here in Michigan, drinking the Honolulu blue and silver Kool-Aid. I think the team that's going to make a lot of noise, maybe more so than they did last year, is the Lions. I like what they've done. I like what they've put together in the offseason. I up here, we love the front office, and that's something that we Lions fans probably haven't been able to say in, I don't know, since the 50s. The front office is actually put together to win. They've got the right pieces in place. They brought the right coaches in place. So will the players come in and buy into it? Their season weighs on Jared Goff. What they have going for them is probably a top 5 offensive line. Frank Ragnow's back at center. And you have Penei Sewell, who's on the right guard, or right tackle, who's looked unbelievable in training camp, and he's going up against Aiden Hutchinson every day. So that's only going to make him better. So we'll see where that goes. Their defense is a little iffy, but and back to Green Bay, who's going to be the target? Who's going to be Rodgers' go-to guy? He definitely has the knack to find a diamond in the rough, and I think he did that 2 years ago with Allen Lazard. Last year, he lost his number 1 tight end, and Tunyon, who, Randall, you picked up, which I think is a pretty good pickup, especially late in the draft. He's proven to be a big target for Aaron Rodgers, so they're going to do their thing, but I think the team that comes out on top is the Vikings. They're built really strong. They've got a great receiver core. Dalvin Cook is Dalvin Cook. If he stays on the field, they're only going to be better. They picked up Zadarius Smith from the Packers, so they're he's going to be looking for 2 games to really make it happen. So ultimately, I think they're the most complete team in the North. Again, it weighs on Kirk Cousins. I mean, Kirk Cousins can be, a superstar quarterback when he wants to, and he can look really bad on the same token. So I know Lions teams have made him look like Tom Brady in the past, but they keep him healthy, keep him upright. They should take the division in the North. Minnesota, Green Bay, the Lions, and the lowly Bears, who have a chance of going 0-17.
All right. You really think the Bears have a chance to go 0-17?
They're bad. Their number 1 receiver is N'Keal Henry, whatever his name is, who came over from the Patriots, and I think he lasted 2 weeks in camp, and he rolled his ankle, and so
I think
he's out.
It'll be Mooney on the Bears. I think it's their number 1, but I agree. They're really bad. I'm very similar. It's as long as Kirk Cousins can just be a game manager and not turn the ball over, he's got enough weapons around him, good enough team. I mean, they should sail through this division. The Packers are going to be somewhat competitive. I mean, they might slide in there. I wouldn't count them out, but it's just so hard to say. I mean, on paper right now, it's definitely the Vikings and Packers. I would put the Lions and then Bears for sure.
Before I start, I just want to make a note. So I'm a pencil guy instead of a pen guy, and got the pencil here, but in my wife's office, there's no sharpener. And so when you're down, who has an old school pencil without a sharpener? But nonetheless, just things that can bother a person. I usually have my lead pencil, but I don't know why there's not a sharpener. Maybe I can't find it. But nonetheless, so yeah, this division's garbage, man. Green Bay's minus 155, Minnesota's plus 250, Detroit's plus 850, and Chicago's plus 1100 just to win the division. I mean, to be plus 1100 to win a division is awful. Man, Aaron Rodgers, he's still great, but his weapons are diminishing and over, and he can still make people great, but I just think he's going to take a peg down. Minus 155, no way I'd touch that. And then you come to no one bets on Detroit to win the division. So throw them out. And then what you're left with as far as who's going to win it, you got Minnesota plus 250. Look, they're traditionally kind of like the goofy kid in class, you got some good lines, but you've got some dumb lines too. But I mean, they've got talent, they've got Cousins, they've got Jefferson, they've got Cooks. I think this is their time they ascend to the throne. So if I'm betting, betting and predicting, I think I got the Vikings also. I just don't think the Packers have the five. I think this is Vegas saying name recognition. Aaron Rodgers still there. Let's even it out because no one's betting on the Bears and the Vikings. I think the Bears are gonna be horrible too. They're just a mismanaged franchise. And to say that in the same breath as the Lions, sorry, Tom, but it's just factually accurate. That's how it is.
The Lions are changing their culture. We'll say that. They're organizationally they're doing what they have to do.
Raj, you better have your scarlet letter on you also.
I was born with it.
Raj, handicap the NFC.
No, if I'm not wrong, Robbie, Cousins has been your playoff killer every year in fantasy football. And didn't you draft him this year?
No, this is the first. No, Lanier's won 3 times with Cousins as quarterback. That's his MO. That's why I picked him this year.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
Well, it was like Chris last year. Chris was like 13-1, got to the playoffs, they set Rodgers, and then Raj rolled right in, took the championship.
All right, Raj, break down the NFC North.
Do we have to? I like Detroit as well. It's just an odd division, which is essentially like my befuddlement is the NFC North. I think Detroit made the biggest steps, especially with their draft. Chicago is Chicago. I'm not a Fields believer. Minnesota, in my opinion, their defense was top 5 in the league for multiple years, and now they are not. And many of their pieces are aging. Barr, Kendrick, I'm not even sure who's left there anymore. And the Packers are the Packers. I think they're the best of the worst, if that makes sense. And I really think that this is Detroit's division in the future. At the present, I would have to go with Green Bay, despite their losses on both sides of the ball, really, especially defensively. But I hate to say it, there's just not much to say about this. I feel like with Hard Knocks, I like Dan Campbell, but he's a bit ostentatious. He's a bit flamboyant, meaning that he loves the spotlight. He's a former player, and people have taken that to belittle Detroit, to belittle him, that they will never win with him, and he's on the biggest hot seat. In reality, if you look back at what he's had over the last few years, that's not his fault. I love his staff. I love the former player aspect. So really, to answer the overall question, I'm going with Green Bay for now, but I think Detroit finally is on the up and up on both sides of the football.
All right, I got a couple of questions to throw out. First is about Detroit, and I think Detroit makes the playoffs. I've been saying that since the schedule came out.
Whoa.
I
don't know about.
Let's get some rationale here.
Hey, Brew McCoy, I don't know about that one either.
The name of the show is Reckless Speculation, so I think Detroit.
That's reckless.
That bodes well for Deontay Swift on my pick there.
But I also do not think the Packers are going to be this horrible team without Devontae Smith that everybody thinks they are.
Devontae Adams.
Or Devontae Adams. Devontae, whoever.
How many teams do you think make the playoffs?
Do you know this year that 8 or 9 make the playoffs?
Well,
Finish.
so how do wait?
Hey,
and you still think Detroit's going to make it?
If you're picking Detroit second and fourth, shocking, they will be in the playoffs.
Robbie, we're going to make so much money off chain.
I'll just name a number. I'll take they don't make it.
Okay.
They don't have to be in the playoffs.
They don't, but let's go around it then in the NFC. Do you think a second team is making the playoffs from the NFC South?
No, but I think all the teams from the NFC West will make the playoffs.
We'll have one team in. The South has,
except Seattle.
Yeah, except Seattle.
So let's give the West all 6 teams in. All 6 teams all 3 teams. That gets 6.
How many are in right now? Sincere question.
Wait, hold on. So 3 in the West are in.
No.
2 in the East. No.
But how many make it? It's like a play. I can't recall.
There's 4 division winners.
Right. So there's 4. There's 2 more in the West, and then there's 1 more in the East. Or the North. No, there's no way the Lions are making the playoffs. None.
They gotta win 11 games.
Oh, Tom.
Ask Tom.
Tom's not with me on this one.
I'm not. I think they make a leap. Playoffs is tough, but looking at obviously the NFC South is getting 1.
Nobody.
Yeah.
The NFC East is overrated.
They're getting the Cowboys and Philly.
I'd be surprised if the Cowboys make it in.
I
think
think
it could
one
be
of
just
those, and
Philly.
I'd probably go with Philly there.
Yeah, so
Although Dallas has some nice pieces on both sides.
I guess
The thing is-
hypothetically they could, but I mean that would be you better extend Dan Campbell for the next 10 years if he gets them in the playoffs this year.
They won what, 2 games last year?
They were
absolutely
3-13
no
and 1.
Shut up.
They lost.
And how many
7
games did they lose by less than 10 points?
7.
Seven.
7 games within a touchdown.
Yeah,
So-
Tennessee Volunteers didn't do that. Ooh.
That's the NFL, guys.
That's USC.
That's what it's supposed to be that way. It's a gambling league.
Do they have the ability to? They've upgraded at the receiver room. There's no question about that. The big X factor obviously is going to be Jared Goff, but let's not forget their second first round pick, Jamison Williams from Alabama. He'll be back in week 5. That's Jamar Chase 2.0. So
And
We
the kid
can't
from Oklahoma
waste any
State,
more time on
Rodriguez, the
line.
middle linebacker, that kid can
He's good.
play, dude. He is a
Week one.
missile.
You do realize there's 7 teams making the playoffs from the NFC this year.
So that's what I'm saying. There's 7 now, not 6.
So
I'll say this.
you
But
got
they're
oh.
still not making the playoffs, but still.
3 wild cards. So we agree nobody from the South wins one, right? We gave
No.
2. We gave 2 to the West.
I'll
No,
get
3 to the West.
Arizona's got a better chance than
They've got to be a division winner. So it's only 2 of the 3 wild cards.
I
No,
got you.
no, 3. Oh yeah.
Got it. Somebody wins the division and 2 of them make the wild card. So that's 3 out of the West.
I thought you said
Yeah.
7.
Or 1 wild card between whoever finishes the 7th in the South, or whoever finishes in the North in second, and whoever finishes in the East in second.
Do 7
Yeah, do you
teams
think
make
Detroit's going to finish in the second?
it? I thought someone said 7.
7 teams are in. And I don't think all 3 teams from the West necessarily get in by beating each other up.
That's true.
But
That's true.
if you want to say 3, 1 wins the division, 2 wild cards. The rest of the division winners, the East, the South, and the North, that makes 6 teams. That means that more than likely the last wild card comes back to the second place team in the North or the second place team in the East. So it's
I'll put my money where my mouth is.
But there
I'll
are
bet
8
you
non-conference.
$200. You put $200 on the Lions making the playoffs. I'll sponsor the show
I'm not
for the season if they don't make it,
I'm
or
not
if they do make it.
$200 in it. Next time you say something ridiculous, I'm going to make you put $200. I'm just saying, reckless speculation. I think the Lions make the playoffs.
Yeah,
I hope you're right, buddy.
I think the Balls are going to make the Final
Hey.
Four.
If you're
I
going to
think
bet
the-
money, then we got to give him odds because that's
I think
it's not
the-
as far-fetched as it was like 2 years ago.
No, it's pretty far fetched.
Let's go through the schedule, and then this will be our last topic, and we'll go to our closing thoughts. I want to go through the line schedule, and I'm going to let you pick the games and give me a lines, because I'm going to pick Detroit to win 9 games. I'm going to see how many you come up with. All right. Ready? And we'll just go around the horn and let everybody pick it. Win-loss. We'll do it fast. Week 1 of the Detroit schedule. Home against the Eagles.
Eagles. Yeah.
I think they will have home hype because Detroit is a great sports town, and I think they'll have home hype. But that
Let's
may,
give
that may
them.
hurt them week 2 against a team that's not necessarily as good as them.
Home against the Commanders.
So I'm saying 1-1.
I'm
It's a
saying
win. 1-1.
I don't know how, but it'll be
Vikings.
1-1.
Yeah, I mean, for the sake of argument, I'll give them 1. The Vikings are lost.
Seahawks.
Win. 2-2.
You got to prove you can win those games.
Patriots.
though, which they have.
Loss. 2-3.
Patriots loss.
Honestly,
I like them
why
going
can't
into New
they
England
can
and winning.
beat New England at New England? I think they win that game. I really do.
Okay, I kind of do
Here's
too.
the Here's the thing. Who's calling the offense in New England? The worst coach that maybe ever on the sidelines here in Detroit. Patricia. Sorry, Rich. We're not allowed to say that name, but Matt Patricia is calling the offense in New England. They are god-awful. Lions going on the road to win.
And
Do you guys miss Jimbo Fisher or not Jimbo? Jim Bob Cooter at
No.
the offensive coordinator? No,
We got them at 3-2. I'll live
And the
with it.
Patriots play to their competition. No offense, but when Detroit comes to town,
There's no way
want to
Detroit's
get up
going
for
to
that.
New England winning.
All right, Cowboys,
I think Detroit wins.
Loss.
Dallas,
loss.
That's a loss.
Dolphins into
Yeah, I mean, it's a toss-up, man. I think they beat them at home. Miami sucks on the road, especially when they're not playing outdoor in
Brandon.
80-degree weather.
You're the tiebreaker.
That's a loss.
Okay, Packers.
Loss.
Loss.
No,
If they're
They
going to
played
beat them
them well
they're
at
gonna play them at home.
Still, I'm going through it fast. Here comes the stretch. Bears.
The Lions won, 5 games last 2 years? You don't
Bears.
play anyone well anywhere.
Bears is a win. Bears
Bears.
is a win.
Bears.
No, at Bears, no loss.
So I'm saying they lose to the Bears, but they win those former games.
Brandon, you got to decide and vote here. Bears.
I got Detroit winning Bears.
Okay. At the Giants.
Win.
Win.
Hope they win.
Buffalo Bills. All can say that's false.
Thanksgiving will be an absolute bloodbath. I'll be there. So
The Jags in Detroit.
Win.
Loss.
I'm going win on that one. That's
I
3.
think it's a win. I don't know.
The Vikings in Detroit.
Loss.
Yeah.
I like them to win.
I think they beat them.
Robbie,
I like them to win.
Loss.
Brandon.
Lost.
Okay. The New York Jets.
Win.
So they're the better team.
Win.
I'll take that.
At the Panthers.
Win.
Loss.
I'm taking Carolina. There.
No. Yeah.
Quarterback and defense on the road, Christmas Eve. Not that Detroit doesn't have more talent, but it's just a situation where you have to know what you're doing and have experience.
We'll get
There.
through it. Bears at home. We
Loss.
gave up losing to the Bears in
I
Chicago.
mean, sorry, win.
Right,
Win for Detroit.
Yeah, I think they win on New Year's Day.
And the Packers.
Loss.
Loss. Nobody wants to play in Green Bay in week 17 or week 18. Sorry. There'll be 2 feet of snow. It'll be 30 below zero.
Yeah, but let's read into this. NFL put Detroit there because they think, in my opinion, that Detroit and Green Bay will be for the division. That's me being Tennessee fan, like total supposition.
Packers loss. You just picked the Detroit Lions to go 8-9. I picked them to go 9-8 and make the playoffs.
The schedule is pretty.
8-9 doesn't make the playoffs. Nor does 9 and 8.
No,
9-8 makes the
Maybe in
playoffs.
the NFC.
In the NFC, I think. 9 guys going from 3-13. That's huge.
He's right.
Big turnaround. It's a
His
big
concept is a coin flip. And
Yeah.
we're acting like they're going to win 3 games and no, and he's right. For once, he's
No,
right.
you are right.
Wait, are you saying he's right because what we think about the NFL is going to happen?
No, what I'm
That's
saying is
preposterous.
9-8 versus
The NFL
8-9.
prints money, and casinos in Vegas print money off of we know what's going to happen.
And I'm
So,
saying
yeah.
Tennessee football is absolutely right. Wait, sorry.
All right, we're going to end that conversation and go on to. I just wrote on my kitchen table.
Hey, my bet's still open, Randall. You put up 200, I'll sponsor the show for the next year.
Robbie, if I had $200 to bet, I would bet it on Tom.
I'll put up your 200. Wait, what's the bet?
It's time for us to. It's been a rough show. It's time to bet your nuts and close this thing out. I do not have a bet your nuts. So who wants to go first while I get one? Robbie Davis. Go
I've
ahead.
got mine ready.
Oh.
So Saturday night, there's not much going on. You're going to see that Nebraska Northwestern game. Of course, I'll be watching because it's football.
That's
But-
12:30 kickoff. 12:30
12:30 our time.
p.m. 12:30 p.m. kick.
Okay, yeah, so it's a night game there. Perfect.
Yeah.
So so we'll start that the day off with that game. Then this is the race that you want to bet. The favorite is plus 1,000. So this is pick a driver and enjoy. There's no losing. That usually you have one that's plus 300. It's Daytona. It's the night race. So Blaney, who's got to win to get in the playoff, is plus 1,200. He won this race last year. Solid bet.
Laney? I'm sorry. I honestly don't know who that is.
David Blaney.
Ryan Blaney.
My bad.
Ryan Blaney.
So number 12. Chase Elliott, the playoff leaders, plus 1,000.
The magician.
Solid bet too. You have Kyle Larson, who just won last weekend, plus 1,300. Martin Truex Jr., who also has to win to get in the playoffs, plus 1,800. Denny Hamlin, plus 1,200. Any of those picks are fantastic, and you could even bet all 5 of them for 100 each, and at the worst, win 50% of your money back. So I think one of those groups going to win. If I had to pick one, though, I'm picking Ryan Blaney. The Ford hasn't been strong all this year, but he won this race last year. The night race, he knows how to control it. The temperature of the track matters. The road conditions matter. So I'm going to go Ryan Blaney plus 1,200. I'm going to bet 100 on him and hopefully win 11, or it's $1,200 or win 1,100 come Saturday night. Wife's out of town, so I will be watching it by the fire in peace. It's going to be awesome.
Can you explain that strategy though, where you said and you could bet, like literally, I don't know. I'm trying to learn. What does that mean?
Yeah, so we got 5 drivers, right? So the least amount of odds is plus 1,000.
Mm-hmm.
So you could bet 100 on each, lose 400, win one, and you win 500.
Okay.
So the top 5 drivers, and so if you get if the last one of those, it'd be plus 1,800. So and so your those are the best 5 drivers. So this is the wild card race.
I got you.
Yeah, got it. So you can bet 50 on each, 25 on each, and rarely does a from the back of the pack win, especially in this. Chevy and Ford have ran the Daytona. So what you want to do is you want to look at the car manufacturers and then the drivers. Hendrick Motorsports, obviously, if you want to just bet. If you want to bet auto pick, that's who you're going to bet. Sorry, too much NASCAR already. Mute button. But
I just like the betting strategy, which I've just learned about, and I'm about to Google it as well. Because
if you bet them all, you can win like $20.
No, you can win $500.
All right.
It's very interesting.
Much better than a toss up on a damn Lions bet for the playoffs.
Who's I still like Lions.
I'll throw my hat in here.
So I want to
For the record, I'm going Blaney plus 1,200 to make the playoffs.
And win
David
the race.
Blaney, as you said, the magician.
Yeah.
Pretty
I knew I heard that name before, right? David Blaine. It's actually David Blaine. Right?
Yes.
Yeah, well, tell Rob that. He said David Blaney, the car driver.
Ryan Blaney is the driver. David Blaney.
It's his cousin. You know, they're cousins.
It's like venerables and vegetables.
All right, who's next?
Make sure you get your vegetables.
Brandon, you're next.
Yeah, I'll go next. I'm going to the Tour Championship, boys. We didn't talk about this tonight. I don't know why. I thought it was on the docket.
It was, but we're 59 minutes in right now already.
I know, but somehow we got caught up on Brew and Tennessee and everything else. Tennessee.
Wait the topic.
And that's all good, you know, but there's a lot of stuff coming out of the PGA that should be announced and talked about. Maybe we'll do it on the next show. And after that, it might be too late because everyone already read it. But I'm going to go back to the PGA Tour Championship, FedEx Cup. I like
It was
Cam
on my
Smith.
sheet too, Brandon. It was on my sheet to talk about also.
I like Cam Smith
my-
right here. He's plus 2,200. I think he's, I don't know, 6 back or something. They start out, already minus so many on this particular event. Big fan of Cam Smith here. When that putter gets rolling, boy, watch out. That dude is hot. Probably a little bit safer bet would be Rory McIlroy, especially out of everything that's come out lately with PGA Tour, everything he's got a lot to play for. Trying to show some strength here on what the PGA Tour does. So he's at plus 900. Sprinkle a little on him, but for the big swing, I'd take Cam Smith at plus 2,200. Love that bet and cash in on Monday.
Raj, or who's next? Hey,
I'll go.
next. Go ahead, Tom.
All right. Well, the last few weeks I've been going NASCAR, and I'm not going NASCAR this week. So,
You've been outdoing Robbie. You've been outdoing our NASCAR local.
Well, and I'm going this route because, as I said earlier, I started a FanDuel account. So I was just kind of messing around, looking at different bets. And I came across a bet that I would bet both of my nuts on this happening. And it happens to be with my Detroit Lions. And the bet is, when will they get their first win of the season? And right now it looks at, I'm picking Washington week 2. It's plus 185 to win that bet. Again, I'm new to the whole sports gambling thing, so it's a little bit iffy to me.
How do you make your money?
I just started. I haven't made any bets, so
You mean how does he not lose his money?
You work for a living?
Not yet. I start in 2 weeks, but anyways, that's for another one. So there was one bet that I looked at. It was the over under, and FanDuel has it at 6.5, and I think that's a no brainer. But the over was minus 125, so I don't know how much of a moneymaker that's going to be. But as far as their first win, I liked the commies, as they're going to call them for short, or the Washington football team will just go to win that game plus 185.
I like that bet.
They blew it so bad by not keeping the Washington football team.
That was just perfect. So simple and fine.
I agree.
You didn't have to mess that up.
I agree.
The name came out during Trump. The Commanders, a small wiener name, if you ask me. But neither here nor there. Sorry.
All right, Raj, what you got?
Both center around the Braves, meaning that my bet your nuts and my last word are about the Atlanta Braves. One being, depending on the odds that you see, is I think the Braves will win the NL East. I think they're the best team. Most recent odds that I saw, I think it was circa like plus 300 through 30 for the Mets, minus 250 for the Braves. The Braves are the better team, and I firmly believe that. To the latter point, so we can just get me out of the way and I can shut up and put the tape back on my mouth, I want to give massive credit to the Atlanta Braves fans who, when Marcell Ozuna, who was arrested for domestic violence last year in a very significant situation, but he wasn't charged, mind you.
And he's playing.
Sorry, pause made an effect. Yeah, but i.e. that a charge doesn't mean anything unless you're worried about local police. But the Atlanta Braves, Ozuna came up, their fans booed him. They booed him when he went to the plate after a minor detail. He got a recent DUI. after a game in which they played at night, I think maybe in New York, and they had a game the next day at 7:00. And he got it, or sorry, they were at home, but he got a DUI at 4 a.m. in Atlanta.
4 a.m.
And to the Braves' credit, their fans, they booed him. They did not want him to play. The Braves didn't want to play him in their defense. They had multiple injuries and no one to play left. So that is my last word is kudos and props to the Atlanta Braves fans who know that the team is better off without him. Society's better off without him. And I don't want him to die per se, but I was very impressed by that. It was very anti-Tennessee Vol fan.
Well, and just a small little add-on to that.
I'm done. I'll stop.
There's been, and Raj, just, you know, your team, the Raiders, have had such tragedy with this. And it's like, if the owners are going to hold these players accountable, the fans have to. And there's no excuse for these millionaires to be drinking and driving. There's just not. Like, for the longest time, the NFL had a car available. They don't anymore. I'm not sure they reimburse Uber and Lyft and stuff like that. But yes, the fans need, the owners won't make the stands, or the fans need to make the stand. And kudos to the Braves fans for standing up and doing what's right.
Absolutely.
You know, most of the fans too.
Yeah.
So my pick is to double down on the Braves. I just looked at it a minute ago. I gave you the Braves at 320 something. It hasn't jumped much. I saw it on Edge at 241. So I gave you bet the nuts. Right now, the Braves are down to a game and a half. And the Mets are resounding 325 to win the division still. So I'll go with the Braves. Roger, you done with your last words?
Kind of. When the Mets have led the division all year, when they lose the lead, which they will, they're done. They don't have the mentality. And the Braves are just, they go from 6 games, 7, 8 games back to 1.5 in a week.
They've got the experience.
They got the experience. And when they want to take it over, they will.
And Soroka's at AAA, which I think makes a huge difference.
Kyle Wright is just amazing. A guy with a 7 ERA prior to this year, maybe in 21 games. But right now he's a Cy Young contender, 2.99 ERA, and makes the Braves deadly.
All right, Tom, what's your word?
I couldn't really think of much for the last words other than we watched episode 3 of Hard Knocks last night. And I think Detroiters are licking their wounds right now because 2 years ago when they brought in Dan Campbell, I think there was a lot of people that were like, what are they doing? This is just, there's a reference they give around here. They call it SOL, same old Lions. And I think a good percentage of the fan base here was like, here we go again, SOL. And I think we're wrong. I think other fan bases, other teams, other players are watching this and thinking to themselves, I want to play for that guy. I mean, he's down there doing 40 up downs with the defense. I just think he is a player's type of coach. And I know that doesn't always work in professional sports, but I think for a team that has such a bad culture, coming off a regime that they were Quinn and Patricia were the smartest men in the room, and they didn't know diddly poo, to be honest with you. Coming from that to this, it's such a ray of sunshine and a ray of hope that, let's face it, I haven't seen in a long time. 1991 was the last time the Lions won a playoff game, and I know in our thread you put that we hang banners for our former quarterback wins Super Bowls. We have a banner hanging at the Billy Bowl in Ford Field.
Was that Scott
their
Mitchell?
last playoff win, 1991.
Scott Mitchell there? Who was the quarterback in 91?
It would have been.
Was that Rodney Peete and Barry Sanders?
Well, Pete was there, but it would have been
second to the Heisman, 1988 to Barry Sanders, by the way.
Yeah,
Troy Aikman got third.
It was Bob. I think it was Bob Galliano. I think he was Pete was hurt, he was always hurt. But yeah, they went in there and the Cowboys came into the Silverdome and it was raucous. I remember that game well. Obviously, because it was the last time they won the playoff game. But I just think
Tom, I don't know if you remember, he was probably a backup defensive lineman with Tracy Hayworth.
Yeah.
So Tracy Hayworth was from where Brandon and I are from, and so when the Falcons or the Lions come to Atlanta, he'd get us players tickets, and so Barry signed a ball for me. I was a huge Barry Sanders. I wasn't Lions fans, I was a huge Barry Sanders fans, but yeah, Tracy Hayworth is from our hometown.
I thought only white people are from Winchester.
There's a few black people.
But to finish my last words,
Sorry to interrupt.
No, you're fine. I just think this is must-see TV. Everyone's glued. I know we have segments. I mean, there's a podcast up here in regards to it. But from the front office to the players, the coaching staff, it is such a ray of hope. And this Hard Knocks has been unbelievable to get a look inside the transition of a franchise that's been the bottom of the barrel, been the trash heap of this city, and to see them portrayed in a light that, like, everybody's Pat McAfee's talking about it, and just and I'm going to start a drinking game right now. Every time Dan Campbell says, "Man, you got to do a drink," but so that's my last words.
Is it a bit Teo-esque in the sense that, like, great player franchise, loose affiliation, but when people actually see what they're about and who they are, like, you're going to root for them. Teo is a great player. The Detroit Lions are a good team, man, and the NFL is better. Kids don't know this when they are good. It's a fact.
I agree.
My point, they were so much better at the end of last year. I don't care what their record is.
They made the change at offensive coordinator. And Anthony Lynn was relieved of his play calling duties. Ben Johnson, who was their tight ends coach, is now their offensive coordinator. So him and Campbell kind of worked together, and they played good football down the stretch. They competed, and they fought their tails off, and can only hope that continues this year.
We all like Detroit. I mean, you have to have no soul or be from Green Bay to not like it. Or Chicago, rather. Chicago.
Yeah.
Speak for yourself.
They're going to the playoffs. All right.
I thought the tape only works when it keeps on, Raj. When you take it off,
Dude,
talking.
Unless you work for Kia, like, how do you hate Detroit?
Look at that.
It's impossible.
I messed up.
11-6 lines.
I'm buying in. I'm buying in.
Old piece of paper.
Cornbread.
I said
Perforated piece of paper. That's so.
going to the playoffs. So
I also have a piece of trash that I'm willing to throw away.
I got my notebook here, Raj.
I thought that was your fantasy football team.
I think y'all
Piece of
to
trash.
come in.
Also, it's on the backside. It's also going in the trash.
For Randall Cunningham, for Robbie, I don't know where he went. For Brandon Chain, for Tom Sloan, for Raj Mehta, I'm going to bed. It's past my bedtime. We're going to have to start earlier. Good night. God bless. I'm going to sleep.
See you, boys.
Adios.
Yeah.